Hi everybody. Today I'm talking about sunspots, melasma, hyperpigmentation. I'm gonna let you guys start coming on. I'm just testing out this at-home device. Hi everybody. Giving myself a little sunspot hyperpigmentation treatment. That's what we're talking about today. Sunspots, freckles, hyperpigmentation. What's the best type of treatments? What are they caused from, and what's the best type of treatment? So I'll let you guys start coming on. I'm going to be doing a demo on this tomorrow. This is by Joves. This is the DPL. So it's basically an intense pulse laser. You have to use some glasses with it, but it targets the pigment in our skin. So I'm going to be doing a full demo of this tomorrow, so make sure that you're here at 11 a.m. tomorrow on Instagram Live, and I'll be doing a demo of an at-home sunspot treatment. So I'm loving this. This is by Joves. But for now, today we're going to learn about what is it and what are we treating? Because unless we really understand the root cause of sunspots and melasma and hyperpigmentation, we might be doing types of treatments that are ineffective or could actually make it worse. So hi everybody, happy Saturday. For those of you guys who do not know me, my name is Darnell Cox. I am a 55-year-old gerontologist, which is somebody who studies the aging process, the physical changes that happen when we age, the psychological changes, the social changes that happen as we age. That's what a gerontologist does. So I'm a gerontologist and I'm a healthy aging coach. So welcome to my world. I do talk a lot about skincare because I feel like I get people in with the skincare and then I get them living longer and better. So that's kind of what my jam is. But today we are talking about, hi everybody, we're talking about sunspots, melasma, and hyperpigmentation. Why in the world would I be talking about that right now? Because right now is the correct time to treat these types of skin problems that we have when it comes to hyperpigmentation and melasma, because when the sun is low, right now it's raining in Los Angeles. It's lovely and raining. I don't know what this is doing, but I'm just gonna let it do its thing. It's raining right now in LA, so why are we talking about sunspots? Why am I in a tank top? First of all, I love tank tops, and my house is warm. But when we're talking about treating the sun damage that happens in the summer, mostly, we don't want to treat it in the summer because you're making yourself more susceptible to taking one step forward and two steps back. You want to make sure that when you're treating things like hyperpigmentation and melasma and sunspots, that you're hitting it hard in the months where the sun is not bright and you're not outdoors. So when you're using long sleeve shirts and things to cover up, that is the absolute best time. It's the absolute best time to talk about treating those, because if for example you do a sunspot treatment on your arms and you go to the beach the next week, what you're doing is you're making your skin more susceptible to creating those hyperpigmentation. So let's just talk about first, what are we talking about when we're talking about sunspots? Sunspots and liver spots are exactly the same thing. They were called liver spots because they happen a little bit more as we age. So sunspots get worse as we age. Freckles, if you have freckles when you're a little kid, they lighten with age. But sunspots get worse when we age because it's from sun damage. Melasma is very different. So sunspots are flat and they're brown, and they're not raised. They're flat brown marks. Those are sunspots. I treat my sunspots a lot. So I have hyperpigmentation. I have little tiny sunspots everywhere. You guys, I grew up on a farm. So I would protect my face at all costs, because sunscreen is the #1 prevention of all hyperpigmentation, melasma, sunspots. So the sun is the #1 cause of that, or the thing that will make those worse. So when I was a kid growing up on a farm, I would cover my face. You know, I grew up in the time when there was like the copper tone tan, right? And we would just bake outside in the sun. But luckily, I was super smart about one thing, in that I covered my face and my neck when I laid out in the sun. So I was a sun worshiper, and I got really smart, but I didn't get smart until it was way too late. I got smart with this part, covering it up with physical barriers, because you can put on all the sunscreen that you want, but there's nothing that beats the physical barriers of using things like, things like hats, right? Things like the long gloves that I use when I'm in the car or when I'm outside. Well, not my best hat right now. But these type of physical barriers, wraps, you know, where you, if you're outside in the sun, you can wrap your arms or wrap your chest, long sleeves in the sun. That's the number one way. Oh, now my hair is going to look great. That's the number one way in terms of sunscreen and prevention going forward. So now you know, right? Once you know, it's hard to unknow until hopefully behavior changes once we have insight. Now that you know, the sun is the number one cause of all photo aging, whether it's sunspots or discoloration. Not the number one cause of melasma, because that has a genetic component to it, which I'm going to talk about, but it's made worse by the sun. So, and in any, thank you, Sandra, in any way you want to stay out of the sun as much as you can in the hours of after 10 a.m. because I'm out there getting sunlight on my eyes. I did it this morning. Step outside with a cup of tea, I put my feet in the grass, and I put my eyes kind of in the distance towards the sun, because that helps with your whole circadian rhythm. But before 10 a.m., good. After 10 a.m., bad. Okay, in terms of for the skin. Okay, so sunspots, like we said, they're flat, they're brown, they're made worse with age. They're underneath the surface. So there's many layers of sunspots that end up coming up. So when we talk about things like spot treating a sunspot, is like, to me, it's like playing whack-a-mole, right? Because they're going to come up again. If you have one sunspot that you're treating, now look, I do have options to treat spots, just a spot of something. But if you have a sunspot that's coming up, chances are there's a zillion more underneath the surface. The sun doesn't just make one spot. So when I do treatments, I tend to treat my entire arm, my entire face, neck. Any time that where there's a lot of sun exposure in the past is where you want to start treating. So sunspots, like I said, they're not cancerous. They're flat, they're brown, made worse by the sun. They start to get worse around the age of 40, which is when mine did. I thought, like, oh my God, I have my shit together. I'm preventing them with staying out of the sun, and I'm treating them, which we're going to get to, with a lot of different things, a lot of different topical stuff, red light therapy, lasers, things like that, chemical peels. And then when I hit menopause, it's like, well, here we go. This just got worse with menopause. Let's just make the list of things that got worse when we went through menopause, when our hormones fluctuated. Hey, Jean. So that happens. So sunspots are flat. They're non-cancerous. They're usually brown in color, and they get worse with age. Not only because they're underneath the surface, but changes in fluctuations in hormones also make them all of a sudden become a lot more apparent. For those of you who are in this midlife section of our lives, like I am, have you ever noticed when you put on a tanning cream, that when we put on a tanning cream when we were in our 20s and 30s, oh, Gina may see me today. Hi, Australia. When you put on a tanning cream in your 20s and 30s, the way that the tanning cream picks up on the sunspots and the little skin tags is very different than when you're in midlife, right? All of a sudden you put on a tanning lotion, try to get more of an even skin tone, and it picks up every little skin tag, every little dot. It makes it a little bit worse. I still love my tanning lotions, because just whatever. But that's what we're dealing with when we're dealing with sunspots. Now, melasma is very, very different. Melasma has a genetic component to it. So if your mother had melasma, if you end up having what they would call like a pregnancy mask, for those of you who have bore children, you know that in that fluctuation of hormones, sometimes you'll get that pregnancy mask, or you'll get like some melasma, which is a bluish, grayish kind of tint to the portions of your skin that are the most exposed to the sun. So this is like a twofold thing when we're talking about melasma: genetic component and then environmental factors, right? And this is that kind of interesting thing that I love about our genes, because we're not victims, I guess you could say, of our genes. It's not like it's determined, it's law, they're in your genes. Your mom had melasma and you're going to have melasma. There's epigenetics, which are those factors that contribute to the genes being expressed, right? So the expression of those genes, whether you have a gene from melasma or not, can be very, very swayed one way or another based on our lifestyle, based on the other factors that we're adding in there. So just because your mother had melasma and it runs in your family does not mean that you need to have it as well. You can do those environmental kind of those environmental kind of tricks that help you to not have that melasma expressed in your skin. And melasma, like I said, normally will be on the most sunny, most on the sun exposed areas. So a lot of people will get melasma on the forehead. Again, it's not like a spot. It's not like sunspots. It's more like big bands of discolored skin. Does anybody out there know what I'm talking about? Usually you get it on your forehead, on the tops of your cheeks, because that's where the sun hits a lot, on your shoulders sometimes. But when you're pregnant, you get a lot here. So here's the situation. If you have the hormonal predisposition to have, you have the genetic predisposition to have melasma, and you're going through hormonal fluctuations, either through puberty, through pregnancy, or through menopause, your melasma can be made worse. So the first line of defense with that would be to stabilize those kind of hormones, right? Which we can talk about a little bit later. But just know that melasma is not, it's not anything to worry about in terms of your health. There is a genetic component, and then there's an environmental component. And we're gonna address both of them when we talk about treatments, okay? Freckles are different. Freckles are inherited features, mostly in fair-skinned people, and when you get older, those kind of freckles tend to lighten up. And skin cancer is a whole different beast. So if you are fortunate enough, and I say this with all due respect, because not everybody has health insurance, and medical treatment is expensive. It's not in everybody's grasp. Not even everybody's grasp who's on this live show. It's not in everybody's grasp. And so when you're talking about skin cancers and things like that, if you've got a mole or a something on a spot on you that has changed color or has changed size or is itchy or flaky or dry, immediately get to a dermatologist to do a full body scan for any malignant marks on or moles or anything gross on your skin, because people die of melanoma every day. And it's something that we take for granted. We don't really think about it. We think about more of the beauty of our skin and trying to make it smooth and not spotty and all of this shit that we try to deal with. But there's bigger things at play here, right? And the sun is the #1 cause of skin cancer. And so not only are we protecting our skin from future spots and making melasma worse and a lot of different things, because it zaps collagen as well, but we're also in using sun barriers and making sure that we're keeping track of spots on our skin. It could be a matter of life and death. So please get your information from your dermatologist if you have any concerns about any spots that you have. I had a question, could taking antidepressants make it worse? Yes, taking antidepressants can make melasma worse, and birth control can make melasma worse. Birth control can also make melasma better. Hormone replacement therapy can actually help with melasma, but then you have to treat it. It can stop it from producing, right, if you're on hormone replacement therapy, but those dips and the fluctuations of hormones really will kind of spur the melasma to make itself apparent, and then we need to treat it with other stuff. Okay, so here we go. There is some hope, my fellow spotted friends. There is, because you actually can reverse sun damage. You can reverse sun damage, you can lighten spots, you can lighten melasma, and let's first review just kind of the causes so that we know what we're dealing with. Because if you think you have sunspots, but you actually have melasma, the treatment for sunspots could make your melasma worse. Okay? So it's very important to understand what you're dealing with. Don't just, you can't cheat off your neighbor's paper when it comes to treating, your skin. Your skin is uniquely your skin. And so let's really understand what is it that we're dealing with. So melasma, like I said, is strongly correlated with fluctuations in hormones, birth control, pregnancy, perimenopause, and there are patches of brown to bluish gray, depending on your skin tone, how it's going to show up. But like large kind of like swatches, slabs of color, not drastic, but you can see like there's a little bit of a bluish grayish tint. Okay. Also anti-seizure medication can make melasma worse, and synthetic hormones, not bioidentical hormones, because that will stabilize, but synthetic hormones can. Okay, let's just see. So the top treatments for hyperpigmentation, melasma, and sunspots, hello you guys, it's sunscreen. Okay, prevent. That's the number one way to help with all of that stuff. It's the first line of defense. You want to factor 30 to 50 SPF, but like I said earlier, the best way is physical, because there's a lot of shit in our sunscreens, you guys. There's a lot of shit in our sunscreens that might not be the best for us, but then also you're reapplying and you're reapplying and you're reapplying. Make sure you've got a hat by your door. Make sure you've got sun gloves in your glove compartment. Those are like ways to really prevent. Prevention is key. And I was trying to look for another sunblock that I had. Oh, no. I have a sunblock that's on I think it's probably in my car. That's a powder that I use, that I have in my glove box with my gloves. So in my glove box, hello, it's called a glove box for a reason, you guys. Gloves go in the glove box, right? Gloves go in the glove box. Why? Because when you drive, think about that. Your hands are so exposed. Your arms are so exposed. If you're in short sleeves, your arms are so exposed. Put your gloves in your glove box. Okay. But also my powder sunscreen is there because whenever I reapply, if I've got like any sort of, I love the Ilia, if I've got any sort of sunscreen on that has a tint, which is really the only foundation I ever use. I don't really use foundation, but I use a tinted sunscreen. So I have a powder sunblock, a mineral sunblock in my car, but maybe I'll take a picture of that a little bit later. Okay, but let's talk about sunscreen. I cannot stress this enough. First line of defense, you want a 30 plus to a 50, but use some barriers, you guys. Barriers are great to have a shawl or something in your car or at your front door so that when you go out for a walk or something, it's easy to throw something over your arms. Like I said, put your gloves in your glove box. These are UV protection gloves. I have them in black, and I've got them in the short, I've got them in long. I use them on airplanes. Okay, so then the second line of defense, not defense, but the second treatment, when we're talking about melasma, we're going to start with the big guns, is hydroquinone. Now, hydroquinone is prescription only. You can get hydroquinone from some of the online doctor, what would you call it, approved, they're on staff anyways, of some products. So like, I think this was the agency makes their hydroquinone in case you don't have health insurance. It's always better to go to your dermatologist. And in case you don't have health insurance, they do make hydroquinone not over the counter, because you still have to go through this whole process of going online, telling them what your problem is, and then they kind of regulate the hydroquinone for you. So the agency does this. Muesli, I think it's Muesli, Curology, those are some of the brands that can do that online. So Muesli, Curology, and this one was the agency. But here's the thing, it has to be under a doctor's supervision, because there are times when we can take our skincare into our own hands, and trust me, I do that a lot. But there are times when you don't want to fuck around with this stuff because hydroquinone long-term can actually ruin your skin to where you cannot get your skin back. So you think melasma is your problem now? Wait till the whole thing turns black and dies. It's terrible. I forgot the name of it. It's some, if anybody knows the name, or if anybody can Google for me, so I don't have to jump off of here. If somebody can Google for me the name of the blackening of the skin caused from excessive hydroquinone use. Here's the thing. Hydroquinone is great and it will lift dark spots and it will lift melasma, but it's short term. So if you have all of a sudden got melasma or you've had it for long term, you can get on a hydroquinone for 3 to 4 months max, then get off of that and then hit it with all the other treatments. So it is for a short term under the doctor's care, but it's really, really effective. So it does increase your risk of cancer because it's thinning your skin. So you got to think about this. What is it doing to lift that up? It's thinning the skin, which increases your risk of cancer. So when you're treating things like melasma, the winter is the time to treat that stuff. Winter, right? So now's a great time to treat that stuff. So because it does make your skin more sensitive to the sun. So you want to do it in a time when you don't have a lot of sun exposure. And it can ruin your skin if you're on it too long. So you want to make sure that it causes a reversible black. Oh, I just found out what it was called. Somebody says, can we reapply with spray sunscreen, please? You can use a spray sunscreen. Somebody just asked, would you use hydroquinone at night with a retinoid? Charlotte, that's a great question. I would not combine these treatments. I would not. Well, that's not true. Let me think about it. That's absolutely not true. Because there are a lot of the over-the-counter or the online things like the agency, like Muesli, that will put them together. Like, okay, you need to lighten your skin. With a hydroquinone, you have melasma or sunspots. Let's add that into a nightly treatment. And so they'll do some things like a future formula at night and another one in the daytime. And sometimes they do combine those, but I would not do that on your own. I would make sure that when you're doing that, you're using, and I have no affiliation to these companies, you guys. I don't make a penny on it. But when you're doing that, I would make sure you go into a dermatologist first to get your skin diagnosed to make sure that that's what you're dealing with. And that if you decide you don't want to do that, that you're not doing that, you're not getting your hydroquinone in Mexico and trying to do this yourself, okay? When you use makeup, could you reapply it with a spray sunscreen during the day? I would, instead of doing a spray, if you're doing it on your face, if you're using sunscreen on your face, and that's what we're talking about, because I also do shit all over my body, but if you're using sunscreen on your face, and you're wanting to do a spray then over the top because you've got makeup on, that's why I like the mineral powder brush makeup, the powder brush sunscreen. Gosh, I wish I had that here to show you, because I love that because hello. I like this one. This is brush on block, and the reason why I like this is because it's a factor 30. Again, no affiliation. It's a factor 30. It's a mineral sunscreen, so you just shake it a little bit and the powder starts coming out. Yeah. And then you can apply it over the top of your makeup, and it acts kind of like a powder, but it has a mineral sunscreen in it. Genius, right? So this also is, I have one of these in my my glove box of my car with my gloves, and they have little refills for it as well. So this is brush on block, SPF 30. It's a mineral sunscreen, UVA, UVB protection, water resistant for 50 minutes. So that's what I do so that I'm not having to put another liquid sunscreen to reapply over the top of makeup. Powdered mineral sunscreens are great for that kind of reapplication, but also skin barriers, all of that stuff. Okay, so the next one is Tretinoin. It is proven, Tretinoin is proven to lighten melasma. It's proven to lighten sunspots. It's proven to lighten hyperpigmentation. It's proven to lighten, to fix a lot of different skin issues, which is why I did a whole, where is it? Oh my gosh, did I not put it in here? I did a whole protocol on retinoids. If you guys don't have my retinoids protocol, which has which retinoid is right for you and a lot of clickable links to my favorites, make sure you DM me the word retinoids. It's absolutely free. And it will show you all the different types of retinoids that I recommend for different body parts, for different types of skin, all of that stuff. So that's in the guidebook, retinoids. When I post this to my main feed, you can just, you can either DM me or you can make the comment retinoids and you'll get the guidebook for free. I do have, well, not here, lectin-free creations. When I do it, when I either on, you can do a direct message to me, or you can also, when I post this to my main feed, just in the comment section, put retinoids and boom, you'll get it right in your DMs. Crazy. Okay, so I like a 0.5%, 0.05%. I just lost that. I like a 0.05% tretinoin that you can get from your doctor. You can also get that from Mexico, from places that don't, I just totally lost it, that don't require a prescription for that. Creative eye candy, so sweet of you to say. So let's just talk about over the counter, because I got this whole thing for you guys. So if you haven't got that, make sure you're DMing me the word retinoids. But over the counter, I really like the Ordinary because this is the Ordinary 1%. It comes in like 3 different strengths, but this is the highest strength that they make. It's in squalene, so it actually helps to moisturize. So look, we're looking at a serum here. So if you're treating, if you have dry skin, this is great. If you're treating hyperpigmentation and sunspots on large areas like your arms, this is fantastic because it smooths in. Always treat your hands too, you guys. And when you're treating your hands, don't treat your hands like this, right? Here's a little, just a little, well, all of this shit's free, but here's another little free fun fact. If you're rubbing your hands in like this, think about all of the surface area that you're missing here, right? So you want to bend your knuckles, you want to bend your fingers when you're doing any sort of thing, when you're treating your hands in any sort of way. Okay, so another one that I really like is the Paula's Choice. This is a 1%. This is just a great all-around retinoid. So does this help with sunspots? Yes. Does it help with melasma? Absolutely. But if you have major melasma and you really want to get to get it down to where it's more treatable with over-the-counter retinoids and things like that, I would suggest going on a prescription strength hydroquinone first for 3 to 4 months, then get off of it, and then once the melasma is lightened, protect, oh my God, protect. Don't spend all of this time and money treating your hyperpigmentation, your sunspots, and your discoloration to F it up. Right? So don't get back out in the sun. Once you've got the melasma under control with hydroquinone, then sunblocks, right? Make sure that the sun isn't making it worse. Make sure that your hormones are as stable as you can for those midlife women like me. Make sure your hormones are as stable as you can so that it's not making the melasma worse. And then you can hit it really hard with the prescription strength tretinoin or over-the-counter retinoids as well. Okay, the next is niacinamide. Niacinamide, this is a B3 vitamin, so it treats acne, reduces pores, even skin tones, treats melasma and hyperpigmentation, and it strengthens the natural skin barrier of your skin. So fights free radicals, and so it protects and treats as well. I love this. This is great for discolorations, and look, it's like a little bit of a serum as well. It plays really well with retinoids. So if you did something like this, mixed with something like this on your sunspots every day, they will lighten up. So this is what I do at night, okay? At night, I use a retinoid on my body. It's not always this one. I actually really like the Olay 24 Retinol Max as well. And the way that I apply this is I do little dots all over, because you don't want to waste the product. If I were to take like a clump of this and start in one place from here, it's not going to spread as easily. But you see how I can cover a large area with minimal product just by placing it strategically around the treatment area instead of starting with one area. So that's a retinoid that I use at night and over the counter. It plays really well with niacinamide. So niacinamide works really well with any sort of retinoid. And retinoid itself helps to lighten hyperpigmentation, helps to lighten sunspots, helps to lighten melasma. So I mean, you mix that with this, pretty good. That's what I do at night. In the morning, I'll do a vitamin C serum, which also helps to brighten. It's one of those extra, it's not a main ingredient for sunspots, but it does help to brighten the area. So I like to add a vitamin C in the morning. So this one is by Timeless. I like this because it's effective. It's a 20% vitamin C ferulic acid with vitamin E, which also helps lift sunspots. So you're getting a lot of bang for your buck here. Okay, so those are my favorites in terms of niacinamide. Next, you can use chemical peels. I did a whole live on at-home chemical peels. It's in the highlights of my stories. So what I'm doing now to help you guys be able to find these lives, because these lives have so much information. Am I wrong? It feels like there's so much information that you're getting. And so to be able to access those lives, again, in my feed, they just get, everything just kind of goes haywire, and it looks like how can I find this, as opposed to like a regular Reels. So in my story highlight, you'll see there's a chemical peel live that I did. I think I actually have captions on that because it couldn't post right away to my feed, and so I had a glitch in the system, so I just screw it. I'm just gonna put some captions on it. So there's some captions on that. It's in my story highlight. That's talking about chemical peels and which one is right for your skin. But my favorite for the chemical peels has been for a long time the Ordinary AHA 30%, BHA 2%. This is great for all skin types. This is the one that turns bright red, you guys, like a crazy person. So you got the bright red, looks like blood's on your face. Leave it on for 10 minutes and rinse it off. All of that stuff helps to lift hyperpigmentation, right? Anytime you're increasing cell turnover, you're lifting hyperpigmentation, unless of course you're out in the sun. Then you're increasing cell turnover and causing more damage deeper down that's gonna come out. Hey, Debbie. Hey, Scoob. So that's what we're talking about today. So just know that a prescription strength tretinoin, that's pretty much the #1 type of product when we're lifting any sort of hyperpigmentation, sunspots, freckles, melasma. It's the prescription strength tretinoin, which is the gold standard, but there's all of these great at-home ones that you can use as well. Okay, let's see, where are we going now? So now we're gonna do other effective ingredients. So I didn't bring this down, but I have like an azelaic acid, which is great for melasma and hyperpigmentation. A kojic acid, they make a kojic acid soap, which is great. So you would use this bar of soap. It looks kind of like a glycerin soap. It's kind of orange color. It's on my Amazon storefront. So everything that I've talked about and everything that I kind of talk about in the lives, I try to make sure that I have it at least on my Amazon storefront for you guys so that you guys can just find everything there. And the way that you get to that is the link in my linked tree on my main profile. You'll see that link. You click on that link and you'll see the little Amazon icon. If you click on that, it'll take you straight to my Amazon store and you'll be able to find every product that I talked about with this. I have not yet done a guidebook on melasma and sunspots. I could do that if you think that that would be easier, like the retinoid guidebook. I could invest a little bit of time and money to try to do something like this for you guys. But for now, just read the caption, because there's a lot of stuff in the caption, and make sure that you have signed up for that newsletter. Because what will happen in the newsletter that comes every Tuesday is this whole entire show that we've just done is going to be there in an outline form. You'll be able to watch the live show again. So there'll be a little play button for you to watch the live show. All the content that I'm covering today will be in that newsletter, and there'll be clickable links to some of the products that I'm talking about that are my favorites. I still don't know what is going on with that hair, but we're just gonna Let it do it. Let it do its thing. Let it do its thing. Okay, so those are other effective skincare ingredients when we're talking about hyperpigmentation. Azelaic acid, Paula's Choice makes a great one. I just don't know where it is, and I don't want to leave you guys right now to go look for it over there. But Paula's Choice makes a good azelaic acid. That's on my Amazon storefront as well. And the kojic, the kojic, Kojic soap is also really great. Okay, on to in-office treatments and maybe a possible at-home treatment with the one I'm going to do a demo on tomorrow. Light pulse lasers. You guys, this is very, very important that you understand if you have melasma or if you have sunspots before you do a light pulse laser. Because if you have melasma, it could make it a lot worse. You'd have to do a spot test. So I always spot test. Where I try to spot test and everything is back here. So if you decide that you want to go and get a laser to try to break up any hyperpigmentation, my suggestion, and I've learned the hard way. This is not, I'm just making this shit up. I've learned the hard way that even me who tests stuff all the time, I'm like, I switched from one laser to another. I switched from an IPL, which is an intense pulse light laser, to a Pico, which is a different type of laser. And I took 10 steps forward with the IPL that I would do once a year to my arms, and 3 steps backwards once I introduced this other laser. And then I had to wait and redo with the IPL. So you really need to know what are you treating before you just like pick a treatment. What is the root cause of it? Are they sunspots? Are they freckles? Are they just, hyperpigmentation? Or is it really melasma? Because it makes a difference in how you treat that. Okay, so what those high light pulse lasers do is they target the hyperpigmentation and they break it up, and then it gets absorbed back into the skin, or it actually helps the melasma to come to the surface, not the melasma, the melanin to come to the surface, and then you can actually flake it off. So those work great if you've got large areas of sunspots and different things on your skin to make it kind of even skin toned. It really does help. However, it could potentially make it worse. So that's why you got to do the spot. You got to do the spot testing. Okay, when it comes to what you can consume, vitamin D, although no vitamin can prevent hyperpigmentation, a diet that's rich in vitamin D can actually help. So we're looking at eggs, oily fish, mushrooms, yogurt, raw almonds, almond milk, things like that really do help to ingest those with the hyperpigmentation of your skin. Okay, red light therapy. You guys, red light therapy helps just about everything. It's like retinoid in a skincare device, right? It helps just about everything. It increases circulation. It helps fine lines and wrinkles. It helps melasma. It helps hyperpigmentation, like I said, sunspots, even skin tone, increases circulation, like I said. It even boosts mood. And this one is my favorite. This is the Omnilux red light therapy mask. If you are looking for red light therapy, there's also some more affordable masks on my Amazon store again. So make sure you check that out. But if you want a link to this particular mask, which is my favorite, which is the best on the market, and listen, yes, I make a little tiny bit of money if you use this link, but if you find it cheaper, use that link instead and then share with everybody else. I really don't care. But that said, if there comes another mask, this is how tied I am to this company, like 0. If there's another mask that comes out that's better, I'm going to jump ship and I'm going to tell you guys about it. But right now, this is the best one on the market because it's flexible. The treatment goes right up against your skin. The number of lights on this device exceed anything else out there on the market. And so it's portable, easy to wear, comfortable. This is the best one on the market. But like I said, there's more on my Amazon storefront. So make sure you check that out. And if you want my top red light devices, just DM me red light and I'll send you the full panel that I have, the Omnilux face mask, And I think even the Iris Store helmet is on that one kind of link that we do. Okay, so that's it. And then sunscreen, of course. Now I'm gonna get to like some of the kind of other stuff to do. There's several creams available over the counter. Like I said, the some of the acids, the AHA acids, BHA acids, both of those acids are great for discoloration, which is why I kind of like the combo that they have in the Ordinary. But also Paula's Choice makes a great 2% BHA, which works great for acne scars and discolorations from that. Laser resurfacing also. So you can do if you've got melasma or if you've got freckles, you've got sunspots, and you want to do like a CO2 laser, ablative, right? So it's hitting the epidermis. It's not transferring down like a radio frequency that's going to heat up the dermis, which lies underneath the epidermis, but it's actually just taken off the surface of your skin. It will help to reduce fine lines and wrinkles right along with those discolorations and sunspots and melasma. So yes, all of that stuff, all of that can help. We talked about chemical peels already. There is cryotherapy. So you can do like if you've got like sunspots or like something, skin tags and sunspots is what I would normally use it for. But you can go to a dermatology office. I don't have an at-home device for that, where they actually do a little cryotherapy and they freeze it. So they'll take a little point that they're, a little section that they want to do. Say you've got a sunspot here, and then the device will just freeze. The device will freeze that little section. Okay, so microdermabrasion. I'm not a big microdermabrasion person. I'd rather do a chemical peel than physically exfoliate the skin like that. I do microneedling, which is very different. But to like just scrape the skin off, microdermabrasion it can help remove the outmost layer of the skin. So it does kind of work like an ablative, not as deep, obviously, as like an ablative CO2 laser. But also microneedling. Yes, microneedling, which I'm going to do tomorrow. I'm going to do a full tutorial, I think, on that. For those of you that are coming on a little bit late, in the beginning of this, I showed a little bit of this flashing of this Jove's, it's like a pulse light laser as well. It's an at-home treatment, similar to, well, I wouldn't say, yeah, it's similar to like the IPL lasers in office, not as strong, obviously, but here's an at-home version. I'm gonna do a full demo of this tomorrow, along with, I'm gonna do a little microneedling of my arms, because that does help with lifting sunspots as well. So microneedling during this procedure, like, you're basically, you're basically creating collagen and elastin, right? You're having your skin come to the rescue. And so in doing that, you are increasing cell turnover. And so you're getting all of that sun damage out to the surface a little bit more. Does that make sense, everybody? So microneedling, like retinoids, like red light therapy, help with just about everything. Just about everything. There's some other stuff that you can do at home. There's a lot of research on aloe vera, putting topical aloe vera on areas for including hyperpigmentation and sunspots. And that's because it contains an active compound called aloin or allicin, which it helps to effectively lighten the area. Apple cider vinegar. There are a lot of people that use apple cider vinegar topically. Now you can ingest apple cider vinegar and it's great for your metabolism. If you have a very fatty diet or you've eaten something that has a lot of carbs or sugar, if you take a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, it will really help. It's a really interesting, maybe I have to do a whole live on that, but it's really interesting if you took a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar with like a bunch of foods that you shouldn't be eating. It kind of slows down the way that the glucose hits the bloodstream, making it far less likely to be stored as fat. So apple cider vinegar, when ingested, is amazing, but topically, it's also good. Now, if you want to, I've tried it topically. I can't really attest to the fact that if it works or not, because I didn't like smelling like an Easter egg. It smells like an Easter egg to me, and I thought, like, I don't want to smell like that. So it's one of the things that I don't use topically, but there is some research behind that as well. Okay, and also if you want to get back to like, some old school research, when the Egyptians have been using milk for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, back to the time of Pharaoh. They would bathe in milk. And there's a reason for that, that has that acid in it that helps lighten pigmentation as well. So I'm a non-dairy kind of person, but when my kids were younger and there was milk in the house, I would oftentimes, when the milk was about, I'm like, this is just like 1 day after, expiration date, I would take that milk and put it in the bath and just dump the milk in there with the water. And there is an acid in there that helps to kind of lift pigmentation. So not only is there research behind it, but it goes back to the time of Cleopatra, interesting stuff. And then of course the vitamin C, antioxidant, anytime you use an antioxidant, you can help with all of that kind of even skin tone. So a topical vitamin C is also an effective way to kind of lighten those sunspots. And vitamin C is cumulative in your skin. So not only does it treat what's happening at that moment, but it also helps to lighten those in the long run, and it helps to protect against future damage. Okay. How do we not get this stuff? Well, I told you before, we got to use some sunscreen. Listen, this is one of my favorite sunscreens, and I'm almost embarrassed to say it. Not embarrassed. I don't embarrass easy. Not embarrassed, but it's so old school, and it's only an SPF 15. But I love it. It's the Olay Complete. You can get it at any drugstore. I love it because it's moisturizing. After I put on this on my arms, I'll put on some Olay Factor 15. This is vitamin C will help with pigmentation. It's not as drastic, for craft's sake. It's not as strong or as great of as a treatment as something like a retinoid. Prescription strength retinoid. If you only could do two things, sunscreen, retinoid, just about for anything. Just about for anything. I was just thinking about like fine lines and wrinkles, sunscreen, retinoid, hyperpigmentation. If you could only pick two products, sunscreen and retinoid. If you're looking at enlarged pores or acne, retinoids, right? And then because retinoids are going to make you hypersensitive to the sun, sunscreen. Sunscreen and retinoids, if you could only pick two things, but there are other things as well. The azelaic acid, like I said earlier, when we're looking at chemical peels or acids, azelaic acid is great for hyperpigmentation. Vitamin C is also great for hyperpigmentation, as is niacinamide. And listen, there's a lot of different ways that those ingredients interact. So when we're talking about the production of hyperpigmentation, and I'm just going to call it hyperpigmentation, you guys, but really we're looking at sunspots, we're looking at hyperpigmentation, which is like an uneven skin tone, and we're looking at melasma. Across the board, it's still hyperpigmentation, right? So when we're looking at the production of the hyperpigmentation, there's a lot of different ways that we can do this, right? We can stop the production, and we do that. And when I say production, it's the melanocytes within the skin that make the melanin, right? So the sunlight hits our skin. It activates this whole process. And maybe that'll be alive in the summer, what happens when the sun hits our skin. But it starts this whole process that then calls on our melanin, our melanocytes to produce melanin, which is the darker color of our skin. The color of our skin is in the melanin. People who are albino, they're lacking melanin in their skin. So the melanocytes make the melanin. So how do we stop that from happening? How do we stop the production? Just stop it. It's sunscreen. And it's those physical barriers, right? So sunscreens, hydroquinone, and retinoids, all three of those stop the production of melanin. So it's in the melanocytes. So it's preventing the process from ever even happening. Those three things: sunscreens, hydroquinone, and retinoids. Those three things stop the production. When it's talking about once you've got the pigment made from the melanocytes, that pigment then gets transferred to the skin cell, right? The pigment gets transferred for the skin cell for it to show up. But there's a transfer from the time that the melanin is made in the melanocytes to the time that it gets to the skin cell. That transfer, we can also screw some things up. That transfer is when niacinamide comes in and retinoids. So retinoids help with three different phases: the production of melanin, the transfer to the skin cells, and the treatment once it's there. Those are retinoids. Retinoids help with all three of those, which is why I keep saying the number one ingredient in all, I hate the word anti-aging, but in all aging skincare is retinoids, because it helps with not only fine lines and wrinkles, but it helps with the production of melanin, so you'll have smoother, more even skin tone. It helps with the production, not helps, it cuts off the production of melanin in the melanocytes. It disrupts the transfer of the melanin from the melanocyte to the skin cell where it will show itself. It disrupts that, retinoids do. And once it's there, it helps with cell turnover to get rid of it. So for that matter, for that sake, it's like that's the best ingredient. I'm trying to look at what I did with that. You should see my desk right now. That's the best ingredient. Retinoids are the best ingredient because they hit all three different phases of hyperpigmentation: the production, the transfer to the skin, and then the treatment afterwards. This, by the way, is Paula's Choice. This is one of my favorite for the body. But also what you can do is you can just, if you don't want to buy like another product for the body, this is a skin smoothing retinol body treatment with antioxidants, diminishes appearance of uneven skin tone, helps provide firmer skin, hydrates and softens. So you can use this for the whole body. You really want to save some money and not have to buy a product like this. Just take a size, a nickel size amount of your prescription strength tretinoin and then mix it in with either something like this or your favorite body cream, and then you make the dots all over like you saw earlier in this live, right? Okay, so I think that's it. Let me see if there's any questions. I started a little bit late today, but let me see if there's any questions. You guys, I'll be here tomorrow. I'm going to be doing a full demo on, because Sundays are my demo days, and those get published to my subscribers. So for those subscribers that I have, hey, my God, my subscribers. Those subscribers that I have, those that belong to the subscription club, that pay the fee every month to be able to ask as many questions of me as you want. You get answered in 24 hours, but you also get the exclusive content, all the demos of microneedling, all the demos that I've done on radio frequency. Those are all in the exclusive content. You guys just click on that little subscription button on my profile and you'll see it. But I wanted to tell my subscribers, sorry, that was a long, windy road to get there. I wanted to tell my subscribers, every 28 days, that group chat closes. So that group chat that we've had for the last 28 days has closed. You should all have a request in your DMs. So you've got an inbox, you've got, I don't remember the three things that you have on your DMs. I can't picture it right now. All I know is that there's an inbox, and then there's, on the far right, there's a request button. You all would have received a request, but you have to accept that request to get on the group chat. So there's only like 6 people on the group chat right now, and there's like close to, I think, 200 subscribers or so. So if you guys want to be a part of that group chat where we can all kind of learn from each other, that's where I get all the questions of like, which red light therapy mask is better, or have you tried this red light therapy mask, or what do I do about hyperpigmentation? That's the place where we can all kind of ask questions, and you can see how I answer other people's questions, because in the 55 years I've been on the planet, one of the many things I've learned is that if you are questioning it, chances are somebody else is as well. And so those group chats really help. Okay, tomorrow, I'm gonna let you guys go. Tomorrow I will be here 11 a.m. again. I'm going to do a full tutorial on this Jove's kind of sunspot lifter device at home, and I'm going to microneedle my arms. So I'll see you guys tomorrow, 11 a.m. Have a fabulous rest of your Saturday. Okay, bye everybody.